What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's George Langabeer with Silverhammer Surveillance. It's been a while. I've missed you terribly. Why has it been a while? It's because I'm taking 4 to 6 weeks off to recover from a surgery. I've talked about this on a YouTube post, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us there for health updates. But yeah, I'm recovering 4 to 6 weeks from a surgery, but it's Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, Colon Cancer Awareness Month, March 2023. And how can I not take that opportunity to talk about my journey and spread some awareness? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a health update. Now, as far as my journey goes, I can't thank you enough for the support, the well wishes, the prayers, the love from across the globe. It's humbling, it's wonderful, it keeps me positive. I've taken some serious hits, which we're going to talk about today, but your love and support just keeps me positive and keeps me fighting. And I'm going to kick this thing's ass thanks to you and your support. So thank you, keep it coming, please. All right, health update today. I've got a cancer playlist. I was diagnosed with cancer in October 2022. I've shared my journey, my last video, my last health update. My last video was actually on the new HomePod, so that was a tech video, but the video before that was a cancer update. So check that out. This is the follow-up from that. We're picking up where we left off there. When we left off, I had a roller coaster of a ride in my journey. We had a colon blockage, which put me in the hospital for a few days, kind of changed my battle plan for cancer. And then we had some great news in the fact that it changed my cancer journey to where I got a PET scan. And in that PET scans light up cancer like a Christmas tree, checks to see how you're doing. No evidence of cancer in that PET scan. Now I've got stage 4 colon cancer. It's also called metastatic disease, meaning that it spread. It had spread to my liver. I had some lesions in my liver and some microscopic cancer spots there. It spread through my lymph nodes. And then I had a tumor in my colon. That PET scan showed that my initial 4 rounds, actually 5 rounds of chemo had knocked out that cancer. So that was fantastic news. So I had the horrible news of the blockage, fantastic news of the PET scan. That's where we left off. So moving on, another roller coaster ride. Gliding off that great news, I was cruising along, felt fantastic, was feeling the best I've felt in a long time. We were going to film that HomePod video. We did film it. I was about to release it. And then the morning I was going to edit that video, which was February 13th, I had the worst pain I've ever experienced at 5 o'clock in the morning. Got up to go to the bathroom, and on my way into the bathroom, I was just shooting through my body with pain. And I've got a pretty high pain tolerance, but it was horrible. So I went in the bathroom and went number 1 and number 2 and thought that it might just be related to that. And it did help. It did relieve it for a minute. Went back in, went to bed. And then an hour and a half later at 6:30 in the morning, I woke up for real to start my day. And as soon as I got out of bed, I shot to the floor in the worst pain I've ever experienced, worse than the pain an hour and a half earlier. And I just doubled down to the floor. I couldn't move. I was completely debilitated, just couldn't move. So I listened to my body right there and then. And just like I listened to my body on the blockage, thank goodness I had, which put me in the hospital, but at least we got the stent put in and solved the blockage problem. But I told Teresa, we got to go to the emergency room. We got to go right now. But I didn't know how I was going to make it because I couldn't even get dressed. I couldn't get in the vehicle. I didn't know. So Teresa got me dressed. Thank you, Teresa. And then we went to the emergency room. Here in Omaha, Nebraska, we've got Dodge Street, which is the main street down from downtown that goes all the way out to the burbs. We took that road to go to the hospital and we hit every stoplight. I was just so miserable. But we got to the hospital, got checked in. They immediately did a CT scan. Now, when they scanned me, they determined that I had a colon perforation this time. Now, a colon blockage is bad news, but a colon perforation is even worse because what happens is what's in your colon seeps out into the rest of your body. You get an infection and you can basically be toast. Now, on a side note, later on after I got out of the hospital, I Googled how life-threatening a colon perforation is, and it completely freaked me out. Now, Teresa and my mother, while I was getting surgery for this thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, they had Googled it and they both looked at each other like, holy crap. So once I Googled it and freaked myself out, it was kind of a blessing and a curse. A blessing in the fact that I know how lucky I am to be standing here talking to you and still have your love and support and be your friend and your YouTuber that you love. But the curse was, it really freaked me out to know that I almost bit the farm. And it's just so weird to think about how well I was doing. And then all of a sudden I could have been toast. So anyway, I'm just grateful to talk about the surgery and how well it went, because here I am still standing and still fighting. So basically what happened is I got the surgery. Now, in part of my cancer journey, when I initially was diagnosed, we didn't know I was stage 4 yet, and we thought I'd get this surgery that would get the tumor removed in my colon, the tissue around it, some lymph nodes to test to make sure that it hadn't spread anywhere else. That was the initial plan. But once I found out I had stage 4, that kind of got pushed on the back burner, and I was going to go through 12 rounds of chemo, then have that surgery if the chemo went well. Now, when I got the blockage a couple weeks before this perforation, they wanted to do this surgery, but they couldn't because I was going through chemo and I had this ingredient called Avastin in my system, which makes it hard to heal. So they were scared to have the surgery then because they wanted it to heal properly. So they put a stent in, and I talked about that in the last video. But this time with the perforation, it's no joke. So they had to do this surgery. And so basically that afternoon, after I was admitted to the emergency room, they did an emergency surgery. I've got a great medical team. I got a colorectal surgeon, I've got a liver surgeon, and I've got my oncologist, which was the quarterback of this situation. But this was my colorectal surgeon. It was time for him to step up, came in and did an emergency surgery. Now, during that emergency surgery, they removed my colon tumor, the tissue around it. They removed the stent that was placed a couple weeks prior, and they removed the perforation, luckily all in the same spot. They also removed 35 lymph nodes to test to see how the cancer fight was going, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I want to talk about as far as that tumor goes, basically, we were killing it with the chemo. We had gone from an 8-centimeter tumor, and a lot of people's colon are 8 centimeters, to 2 centimeters. So what's ironic about all this is, when it was 8 centimeters, I was pretty healthy. From October until January, I didn't feel like I had cancer other than a few side effects from chemo. So I can't believe that this didn't happen when this thing was bigger. But basically what we've determined is I shrunk it down to 2 centimeters. We pissed the sucker off. It got all inflamed and basically caused these problems, basically saying, you're trying to kill me, I'm gonna kill you, dude. But guess what? I won. We killed that sucker. He's out of me. I won, I'm standing here, and I'm gonna keep standing here, and that little fucker's not coming back. So anyway, they removed all that. And so I needed to go into the hospital. I stayed there for 10 days. They gave me full of antibiotics to fight off the infection that could have spread, you know, even with that perforation, as brief as it was. So that's why it's so important I went in the emergency room, and that's how it can take you out. But luckily I listened to my body and I went quickly. So they fought off that infection, gave me some shots for blood clots, gave me antibiotics, gave me pain meds, because when they did that surgery, unfortunately, originally they thought they were going to be able to do it laparoscopically, which would be less incisions and smaller incisions, but they had to open up my gut. So I got a nice scar down my belly, and they had to give me pain meds for that, had to make sure that started healing, and just had to observe me. Now the other reason I was in the hospital for 10 days is, and nobody can really explain this, but when you have that kind of surgery on your colon, or any type of operation on your colon just shuts down, your intestine stops working. And nobody can explain why, but sometimes it'll stop working for a day, sometimes 2 days. Mine stopped working for like 8 days. And you have to stay in the hospital till that sucker wakes up. And it's normal that it does that, but unfortunately in my case, mine was being stubborn. And so at first they got to make sure you fart, and then they got to make sure you can go number 2. And once you can do that, then they give you a liquid diet, and then they move you on to an actual regular diet that's just low fiber. And then once you determine that you can handle that, and they make sure the infection's at bay, then I was released. But that happened on February 13th. So we had a very romantic Valentine's Day in the hospital. But I was there for 10 days. And my colon finally woke up. Now my stomach woke up right away. I was able to pee normally. It's just your intestine. Now, also as part of that surgery, we're going to talk about this more in a second, I also had a ostomy bag placed on my gut. And again, we'll talk about that in a second. But instead of pooping out my anus, I poop out this ostomy bag. But again, we'll get to that in a second. All right, so I had that surgery. I got out of the hospital. So right after that, basically, you know, I needed to get back to my battle. But I have to recover for 4 to 6 weeks from the surgery, because I got to make sure this wound, this incision on my gut heals, and also my insides heal, But I did have a meeting with my oncologist to make sure that everything was cool, and they checked my labs, and we checked what's called a tumor marker, and we do all that just like what we did before I did chemo, but in this particular instance, I didn't do chemo because I have to wait till I'm healed. All right, so, I had the horrible news of the perforation, went through the hospital for 10 days, which sucked, but then we had this meeting with my oncologist, and we had some really good news. So my labs, they check everything, your blood, glucose, all this stuff, almost like you're getting a physical. And then they also check this tumor marker. Now my labs looked really good, which is great news. And then this tumor marker, now when I had gone through round 5, which was between the blockage and this perforation, my tumor marker was down to a 1.6, and it came down from a 7.9. Now, a normal person, a healthy person, is between 0 and 2.5. You can be a healthy person but a smoker and be up to a 5 on your tumor marker, even without cancer. So I was at a 7.9. If you get to a 10, that means your cancer is getting aggressive and starting to spread. You get to a 20, it's really getting aggressive, shit's hitting the fan, and you're getting in trouble. Some people's tumor markers are in the thousands. So I do not envy those people. That's when it gets really bad and horrible. So even though I had stage 4, it spread to my liver, I started relatively low and luckily below that 10 mark. Now, as I went through my first 5 rounds of chemo, which is still where I'm at this point, chemo-wise, that went from a 7.9, then slowly but surely went down. It was at a 1.6, but this time, after my surgery, I was down to a 1, which is absolutely fantastic news. So it's just a tool in the toolbox. It doesn't mean everything in the world, but it's a fantastic indication on how you're doing in your cancer fight. Now, more good news with all of this is as part of that surgery, they took out 35 lymph nodes, and lymph nodes is how this cancer spread to my liver. So they're checking that to make sure it's not still spreading and those are not in trouble and still causing problems. Now, a lot of times in this colon surgery, they'll take 10, 15. They took 35 to be really cautious. So while I was in the hospital, it took a few days to get that pathology back, but 35 lymph nodes, no cancer in any of them. Now that's wonderful news. Now when I had got the PET scan before this perforation, I had one inflamed lymph node that they were worried about, which they thought might be normal, and it turns out that luckily that was normal. It was just inflamed because of everything going on around it, but no cancer in the lymph nodes. So I had a hell of a go with it, with this perforation. Horrible news, worst pain I ever felt, could have died, but wonderful news is, got the tumor out, healthy lymph nodes. So that just leaves us with the bad news. The bad news is that ostomy bag. All right, so a lot of people that get this colon surgery when you have colon cancer, and sometimes you have to do the ostomy bag, sometimes you're lucky enough to not have to do it. I had to do it, but a lot of times it's temporary, but some people it's permanent. Now, when I had it first done, we thought it was going to be temporary, and it's still possibly the case, but my oncologist on this last visit we had did say that it could be permanent. And the reason for that is when you have this reversed, and go back to, we're going to talk about this in a second, what it actually is, but when you have it reversed, you have to take another break from chemo. And I've already taken 6 weeks off to recover from this surgery from chemo. And when you have stage 4, you don't want to take too much time off. You want to keep at it. You want to keep fighting this thing so it doesn't come back. So the bad news is it could be permanent. We don't know yet. So what is it? What is an ostomy bag? Also called a colostomy bag, ileostomy. I call it a poop bag. Teresa started calling it my sidecar. But basically what they do as part of that colon resection, when they took out the tumor and everything, is they redirect your intestine and basically attach it with what they call a stoma. And a stoma is a little red, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just a red ball that comes out of your belly. For me, if I'm looking down, it's a couple inches, a few inches away from my belly button, and it's to my left. And it's a stoma, it just pops out. And then what happens is, that's what you poop out of instead of your anus. And so you attach this bag, there's a piece that attaches to your skin, and then you can either get a one-piece bag. There's several different varieties. I've got a attachment to my skin, and then I got a bag, you'll see it here, where I attach it, and that's what you poop out of. And then for me, it drains out the bottom. There's a ton of different ways you can go with these bags, but I like the fact that it drains out. But it's a bag that you poop in. Now for me, I'm a germaphobe, I'm a neat freak. I'm a hygiene freak, and this thing is not my favorite thing in the world. Some people name it because they try to make light of it. I'm not naming this son of a bitch because it's going to be gone. We're going to change this to where it is reversible. And 6 to 7 months from now, I'm getting rid of it. I'm telling my oncologist that right now. Let's hope so anyway. But anyway, you poop in this thing. Now your stomach works normally, you pee normally, it's just your poop, for me anyway. And so the problem with that is, normally when you fart and you poop, you can kind of hold it. So if you're in a public place or you don't like public bathrooms, you can make it till you get home. I can't do that with this thing. I fart, it farts. I poop, it poops. There's no stopping it. In fact, sometimes I don't even know what's happening. But the embarrassing thing is the farts. Now, a funny side note for me, I am not a fart joke humor kind of guy. I never have been. In fact, I've got some friends, it's a long running joke that they've never heard me fart. In fact, I went to a cabin one time with my best friends. I got really drunk and I let one rip. And I swear to God, they were going to call the Inquirer, the news sources. It was just, a big deal. They're like, oh my God, because I never fart in front of anybody. So for me, it's a big adjustment because now I let one rip. Teresa and Delaney and my mom have been here keeping me company during this recovery. And they're looking at me, yeah, like, that's just the way it is now. So anyway, it's not my favorite thing in the world. It hangs out of my shirt. I said this on Instagram and Facebook. What I need is for Adidas to make a cover for this thing. Now I got a cool black cover for it. I'm gonna try some different belts that kind of compresses it. But you don't wanna get too crazy with it because you don't wanna block it from working. But Adidas, hook a brother up. Make me some fashionable covers for this thing so I can rock it, please. But anyway, the ostomy bag, not my favorite thing in the world. Now I'll get more used to it. Worst case scenario, or best case scenario, I'll have it for 6 to 7 months. And that's because now I'm going through round 6 through round 12 of chemo to just keep fighting this thing and keep burning it out. We don't know, hopefully nothing came back in the 6 weeks I'm recovering. We don't think it will, but I want to get right back to chemo and just continue knocking this sucker out. So, it's 6 rounds, but it's 3 months. And so I go through it every 2 weeks. Basically, I have an infusion on Thursday where I go into the oncologist. They give me an infusion for 3 hours. I come home with the chemo pump, which I've talked about before. I have that from Thursday to Saturday, and then I get that taken off. And then from Saturday for the next week and a half, I'm pretty normal. I get back to normal. I feel good. So that's what we're going to get back to. And so then hopefully we just burn it out. Then after that, we're going to re-examine. We're going to scan again, see where I'm at, and maybe we can afford to take that break and get this reversed. But either way, I'm going to listen to my doctors, my great medical team. I'll do what I'm told. Even if I have to keep this damn thing, I'll live with it. It's better that I'm still here and talking about this. I mean, it is what it is. I'll deal with it if I have to. But anyway, that's what's happened since my last video. Again, very important to me to spread this awareness. Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Get a colonoscopy if you are 45, male or female, it does not matter. It could save your life or save you a huge hassle, like in my case. In an instant, I got a colonoscopy. The news from that colonoscopy completely changed my life, completely changes what goes on my brain every moment of the day. I could have prevented all that if I would have gone a little sooner, but who knows? Now, I went when I was 48. I just turned 49, just had a birthday. I want to keep those birthdays coming. Funny how I've changed my view on birthdays. Before they kind of sucked. Now I just want to have as many of them as I can. But anyway, I was 48. And if I got it maybe a year earlier, 2 years earlier, maybe I could have prevented this. We are over 80 some colonoscopies now confirmed because of my videos. Several of those people have told me they went in and got it, found out they had precancerous polyps, which were removed before they turned into cancer. That means my videos help them prevent themselves from having cancer, and that means the world to me and fills my heart, and I'm so thankful they went in. I need you to all, please, the Langabir Fight Club, keep going in, keep getting those colonoscopies. Find out you're healthy. Find out you can prevent all this crap that's happened to me from happening to you, please. So as part of that awareness month, I just wanted to say that again. And I want to thank you again for all your love and support and prayers from around the world. It means the world to me. It keeps me positive. It's why I'm still standing here. The doctors keep telling me my attitude is a huge part of this thing. And so much, I am a pretty positive person in general, but you guys have helped me so much. I want to thank you for bearing with me on this YouTube journey because it's been a weird one. Tech, security to cancer, back and forth. It's not usual, I know that, but my subscribers, I've got the best YouTube family in the world. You're so supportive and wonderful, but stick with me because I'm gonna beat this thing. The fact that I'm still standing here, you know, I've got this scar on my gut, I got this bag. The scar on my gut's just a battle scar, just says that I'm badass and I kicked its ass. And, you know, just keep it coming because you're helping me do that. So bear with me, keep subscribing, keep liking. When I come back after this surgery, I'm gonna take 2 more weeks off to recover from this surgery, get myself fully healed inside and this gash here. And then we're gonna try to get back to our normal content as I start chemo again. Now, because of chemo, I do have the 1 weekend where I've got that bag. So I'm just gonna take every other week off. So we'll try to come back with some normal content every other week. That's the plan. This whole situation keeps interfering with my plan, but most of that was with the tumor that is now gone. So let's hope I can now stick to my plan. So every other week, we'll do tech security. I will update you occasionally because I gotta spread this awareness. I do more health updates on Facebook and Instagram, so please follow us there. But keep supporting, keep liking, keep subscribing, and until I see you in about 2-3 weeks, thank you so much. Peace and love.